Somebody tall was here.
Look, you guys, in week one, you guys used 12 personnel. I think it was roughly like 17% of your snaps. I think most people probably expected to see more of that game. Was there a reason why you guys went away from it a little bit, or do you expect to use it more moving forward?
No, I think the flow of the game obviously dictates a lot of that stuff. I think I'm not exactly what the number was, but I think we were somewhere between the 45 and 50 rep count. But like when we got into like a 2 minute situation, so then obviously when you get to 2 minute, you're a little bit more heavy, getting to 11 personnel from that perspective. But no, we're always gonna look at it and see where our matchups are best. We're trying to dictate to the defense as much as we can, and sometimes personnel wise and what they're doing, like what they decided to do was treat Brock a little bit more like a receiver. So the 12 personnel really to them end up being treated like an 11 personnel anyway. So every week's gonna be a little bit different, and we're always gonna just go try to hunt those matchups as much as we can.
Luke, I'm very clear you can't judge an offense on one game, and I'm not doing that. But Al Davis built this franchise by saying we don't take what the defense gives us, we take what we want. I'm curious, in your offense, as we see more, is that kind of the approach that you will take, or will it be a little bit different?
No, the mindset's always we're always on the attack. That's it. So, we look at structures of defenses and come up with a plan, but there is nothing There's no hesitation about any of that. Whether it's running the rock, whether it's taking a shot down the field, or whether it's beating a man coverage with a man beater, all of that stuff. We're gonna attack the defense for whatever they present to us, but our mindset always will be that we're on the attack.
You mentioned, Chargers chose to treat Bowers more like a, receiver essentially and play like 11 personnel. And, big way to get teams to stop doing that is to run the ball well, obviously. What do you think you guys need to do moving forward to run the ball a little bit more consistently?
Yeah, we definitely feel like we left some stuff out there, right? We obviously got off to a tough start there, the first two runs, right, going 0-0 back to back, and that's, we got to get our guys in better positions, and we got to execute better. So that's a team effort thing. But I think we're on the right track. I think what you saw as that game developed, as it went on, you started to feel it and started to feel like, okay, we're ready to roll. We get the holding penalty on the big explosive, and then the very next play we get another explosive, and then we get the fumble. So those kill your momentum that you got rolling there. So I felt like the run game started to pick up. I think we just we got off to a slow start. We can't do that.
I guess early when it wasn't working, did you see more a function of offensive line not being able to create lanes, or just running backs not finding them?
No, I think it's always it's never just one thing. It never is. And I think as you go into it, you go in your first game ever as a unit. I think there's always going to be some of those things where there's a little bit lack of execution. But in the end, we felt really good about where we were, where we're going to go. We felt like as the game went along, the guys kind of settled their feet in the ground. Got that excitement of the first game kind of out of the way, and then I felt like the guys just got better and better as the game went along. Obviously, the biggest thing in that game, we can't turn the ball over the way that we did. I mean, we're not sitting here talking about any of this stuff if we don't turn that ball over, and that game's going to go in our way, and that's been our focus for this week.
Mattison was effective last Sunday. Do you see him having a bigger role in the run game than maybe previously anticipated as we move here through the season?
I guess the answer is no. As far as him having a bigger role than we anticipated, we feel really good about those guys, and they both. You can't play in this league with just one, and we feel really good about the group that we have. I think every week, each guy kind of gives us a cool little matchup for who we're going against, and so I think there's going to be weeks that Alex gets a little bit more, and there's going to be weeks maybe he doesn't. But I thought he did a really good job. I mean, it was such a cool day for him, having a child and scoring a touchdown the same day. That's really cool. And then how he did it too was awesome. I think he's been great for us. His veteran leadership really stands out in that room for us. So he's done a nice job.
Can you evaluate how you felt Gardner Minshew played, and despite the turnovers, do you think that he was going to continue to try to look downfield and make more explosive plays and move forward?
Yeah, I mean, the past game, the explosives weren't really our issue, right? We hit our mark as far as getting those out there, and he had a couple plays that obviously he wishes he had back. But going out there for the first time as a unit, I thought he did a lot of really nice things. And I think there's a lot of things that were effective. I mean, obviously, was it 28 to 35-ish or something like that? And I thought, going out there and just got to eliminate the turnover part of it, right? If he gets rid of those two, and obviously the one was an egregious error that he knows that we can't let that happen. And then Zamir had the fumble before that. And so we get rid of those 2 plays, I think we're in really good shape and we're talking about different stuff. And that's what this game usually comes down to, right? Our league is built on like not turning the ball over and putting your defense in tough situations like we did at the end of that half. I mean, we're in great position. Just did a great job, converted that 3rd down, which was awesome. And then now we're rolling in to go get some points. And then that was just a momentum killer for us.
All turnovers are obviously different. So I mean, you can like look at, oh, you threw into this coverage, you shouldn't have, you didn't see this guy, whatever. That turnover you called egregious. Like, do you even talk about, like, obviously that's just a weird kind of fluky play. Do you even talk about that, or just kind of move forward?
Yeah, no, you definitely talk about it. I mean, there's you got to know, why or what and how and all that stuff, and how we can eliminate it so it doesn't happen again. So you definitely talk about it. I mean, he's the best. I mean, you just ultimate pro accountability, all that stuff. Like, you never have to question any of that stuff with him, and so. But that wasn't just the only play, you know what I mean? Like, for him or for anybody on the team, including myself, like, we all have to reflect and look in the mirror and see how we can get better. And a good football team goes from week 1 and goes into week 2 and executes a lot better. So we got to do that here this week.
When you look at the film, what are some key players for Baltimore that really stand out to you on tape that you have to really get after if you want to win this game?
Yeah, I mean, they're stacked on their side of the ball. I think it's been evident for the last couple of years. I mean, all the sacks, all the turnovers that they create. And, Roquan, I had that chance to be with him in Chicago for that time, and just a stud mentally, physically, all that stuff. I'm sure he's their emotional leader like he was for us. So the whole thing kind of revolves around him, and then the guys up front. I mean, you could say every single one of their names. I mean, this team's built center, from the middle out, and they're as good as it gets as you work that way. You got stout guys, you got speed guys, you got pass rushers, you got Hamilton that just can play the 3rd level, 2nd level, or the 1st level. So they're a dynamic group, and they definitely present a challenge. But we're excited for it. We think we have a lot of guys in our room that can create some mismatches for us that can give us the advantage.
Luke, when you go to the 4th quarter where AP chose to punt on 4th and 1, his mantra has always been, we're going to be aggressive, whatever. The team struggled in some short yardages on Sunday. I know as an offensive coordinator, you want to be able to have your coach say, let's go get it. Mm-hmm. What do you guys have to do to fix it? Was it just first game, learning some things? I know your heart wasn't not to get it. That's why I'm asking. Sure. What do you do as a OC to say, we're never going to put you in that spot again?
Yeah, no, I think as much as anything, right? You come in the next day, you watch the film, and you talk about the reasons why. And I think when you're honest with yourself and you're honest with the group and you all put it out there like that, you're going to grow and you're going to get better. And we had complete confidence that we'd go get it the next time. We really did. And I felt like as that game went along, everybody had more and more confidence in each other, and we felt like we're ready for the next opportunity. That doesn't mean that he should go for it or not go for it the next time. I think that's, he's the head guy, and whatever he says, we're going to go do, and he has to look at the whole picture, because I'm not watching the defense while we're going through our pictures, or we're talking about the next drive or anything like that. So I don't know what's going on that side of it, special teams wise as well. So there's a whole thing that goes into that, but we're just always going to be ready to go. If he would have said go, we were ready to rock and roll as well.
Your use of play action in Chicago was pretty significant. I think it was less than 10% of dropbacks on Sunday. Is that just a function of the running game not really being able to get going and then not being able to use that off of there?
Yeah, I mean, it all plays in together, right? It all does, all works together. You want to, 1, play into your player's strengths, and then 2, you got to run the rock in order to get a lot of those. And we still had a few of them, those explosives that were created by the opportunity or expressing the willingness to run the ball and then being able to throw it down the field. So again, it's an opponent by opponent thing. And then on the second part of it, you always got to evaluate who your guys are and what's the best opportunity for them to get the matchups that you're desiring.
Being on the field instead of up in the booth, how does it change the dynamic for in-game adjustments, being able to talk to your players at different position groups face to face?
Yeah, I mean, that's everything. I mean, that's how, when I was college coordinating stuff, I was in the booth, and you lost that element. And then I got to the NFL, and I saw, Coach McCarthy and Coach LaFleur and all these guys doing it from the field, and their ability to connect and then reflect and see, and then my ability to look someone in the eyes, and then when you're going to them, you can see if they really like something, if they don't like something, if you need to help them kind of get going or not get going. I think that being on the field just gives you that element where you're not just literally calling a play off of a sheet. There's the human element of this thing that when I play golf, I'm a feeler. I can't tell you what my swing looks like. It probably looks terrible, but I know what it feels like if I can look down a fairway and see it, and I can shape it like looks the way I want it. Like, that's how I am. And I think in this game, there's so much of that you got to feel. I mean, if there's, You know, if the quarterback is exhausted, you can't call another keeper, and you have to be able to feel that when you're on the field, you know.
I understand there's no silver linings in a loss in the NFL, but I'm curious. Game one, when you went back and watched the film, was there some things that you were pleasantly surprised with? I mean, it's not all negative, it's only one game. I'm just curious about that angle, sir.
No, I think that's the old cliche that I've heard my entire coaching career is it's never as bad as it feels and it's never as good as it seems, right? And so I think that was evident. I think the turnovers just resonated so heavily on me as I walked off the field, like, you know, and then you watch the film, there's tons of execution. There's tons of really good things going on out there. Like I said, we, you know, 6 or 7 explosives in the past game and only in a limited amount of snaps. I think we snapped about 58 plays. That was it. So we got to get the run game going. We know that, and that's not just one person. That's the collective, and so we'll get better at that. We know that's important for us to have success going forward.
You guys had a lot of, you know, horizontal passes and short passes against the Chargers. Is that sort of your ideal vision for the offense, or do you want to push the ball vertically a little bit?
No, you want to do it all, right? You want to make them cover every blade of grass. That's our goal. Whether it's running the ball laterally, running the ball downhill, whether it's throwing the ball, you know, short, intermediate to throwing the ball down the field. That's our main goal is to make them have to defend every blade of grass.
I was wondering if there's anything unique. Obviously, they're different people, but in facing Jim Harbaugh and then going to John Harbaugh, being that they're brothers and coaches in the NFL, like, is there anything unique about that situation for this team in preparation?
Yeah, I just think how impressive it is when you have a head coach that's been somewhere as long as he has and had the success and the sustained success and the style of play hasn't changed since the day he's gotten there. And so I think that's really as much as anything. I think you pay respects to the fact that, you know, how much success that they've had, and then you can see the cultures that they build wherever they get. I think that's probably the most reflective as far as saying where they're the same. But I think Baltimore in itself has just done an unbelievable job over time of just being a consistent organization.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.